Okay, today's recipe is going to be these Korean braised ribs. Got a screen cap of the recipe for you already. Gonna put that up when I put that up somewhere for you. We're also going to be making this Brussels sprout dish that I found. Seemed really good. Claims to be Canadian. That's really my big thing I wanted to do is find some Canadian dishes, and this also has a Canadian dessert thing that we're going to be making later. So because the short rib dish is braising, nothing really major. We're just going to show you how to make the marinade right now. Got all of the ingredients for that. We'll also be covering how to make the Brussels sprout dish and the blueberry dessert, so that'll be good. Sort of wish could have gotten actual Canadian blueberries, but last time I was up there, I really feel like they were trolling us because they had all of the blueberry stands right before the border where we'd have to get rid of them. Crafty Canadians. One of the pieces of this meal is doing chopped or ground ginger, and we have some fresh ginger left over from one of the last meals I prepared for you guys, showed off. So going to use that for fresh ginger. Everything else is simple. First step after, of course, cleaning up the counter and learning your recipe will be trimming any of this excess fat from the meat, but looks like we got really good one, so not much work there. Then going to be mixing it all up, throwing it in the tub. Always have a good tub for when you're doing marinades. That's something I've learned. And we'll see you step by step, or somewhat like that along the way. Okay, meat was pretty lean already, so I didn't have much to do except for some of the bits are a bit too close to the bone to really work on. And now you're probably wondering why I have the different cutting board out, and my blade seems a bit different because they're a bit soggy. Just for the next stage of mixing the marinade. Well, as I like doing, throwing in a bit of food safety or other tips, it's because the previous cutting board, we used that for cutting meat, and that's not good for when it comes to preventing germ spreading. So you always want to have a different cutting board and different, or clean your knife for the vegetables. So always good to switch out like that. Thankfully, we also have like the sanitizer I showed off in an earlier video, so that's a good step to do between meats and vegetable slicing, especially keep your blade from bringing bad stuff over between the two of them. I'm going to mention now a way of slicing onion here. Good way to get started is you take it off the top and bottom, and you want to cut most of the way through, so say about like that with a bit left, because then you can just take it, peel it off, and that takes a lot of the skin with it. Same on the bottom like that. From here, you'd want to cut it in half. Let's see, or close to half, as much as you can. And then from there, if you have like a part this big, you're just going to cut it one way, then go perpendicular. If you have a bigger part like this, you want to, a good one way is to cut it through the middle, then go the two directions perpendicular. That's way to get a chopped onion. If you have a way that works better for you, then by all means do it. So that's just a bit of onion coverage for no real reason other than I have not much else to film for this project. A good thing of note is a coffee grinder like this is very good for grinding spices fresh. So in this case we're doing sesame seed, not really a spice, but it needs to be ground. So if you ever need fresh ground spice and you have a coffee grinder, that's a good way of doing it. Alright, when working garlic, as you could probably have seen occasionally on like Alton Brown, good way of doing it is you crush it under the broad side of your knife. That helps you peel it off a lot cleaner, smoother than trying to do it otherwise. Then a good way to do your chopped garlic is you just slice it up as you would there, and then you have the rocking back and forth motion with your knife. You chop over back until it's chopped or minced to your liking, and that's a simple way of doing garlic. Or the ginger, we're just simply grinding it over a grater. Any grater will do. I mean, most people think cheese grater, but you know, they're for grating anything. Ginger is a very fibrous plant, so you're going to probably want to trim it occasionally to get the extra parts off. But you know, you still have the good meat that you're really going for. So you just want to get rid of the fibers occasionally. And other than that, preparing ginger is very easy. And here's the final instance before we put it in the fridge to marinate overnight. Just want to show off this. Next step in preparing the meat will be braising it, so something we've gone over a few times on this channel already, so look forward to that. Coming up next should be preparing the blueberry dessert thing from Canada, so another thing to look forward to. Second dish we're covering is this blueberry dessert dish. We have everything gathered out here already except for the blueberries, which I put in the refrigerator. They're defrosting right now. That's the best way to defrost them if you have the time, is put whatever you're defrosting in the fridge and let it go slowly, especially since it keeps the item inside the safe food zone so that no bacteria growth on while it's getting into a workable state. Second best way would be to put the item in, say, a plastic bag of some sort, put it in like a bowl or something, put bowl in sink and run water over it. I've never really used that one myself, especially now because we're California with the drought and don't want to waste the water like that just to defrost your food. But I've heard that doing it that way can defrost even like your whole Thanksgiving turkey in hours instead of a day or more. So that's a good way of doing it. Third way is where you get a little bit iffy using your microwave to defrost. The iffy part comes from the fact that the microwave will heat up the food item unevenly, so you might still have some frozen spots in it, and then you might also have some overcooked spots in it. But if you need to get a chicken breast really quick for a dinner, just if you need like a small little thing really quick, microwave is a perfectly safe way to go. The absolute worst way to defrost, and what you should never do, is just leave it out on the counter to defrost. because you're keeping it out of the food safety zone, and that allows bacteria growth, and stuff like meats and vegetables are really high on the stuff that bacteria like to eat. So you really don't want to do that if you're sane. If you like going to the hospital, go right ahead and leave your meats out on the counter while they're defrosting. Perfectly fine if you really like going to the hospital for food poisoning. The base of the dish is the blueberries. They've been coated in lemon juice. The lemon juice will help not only bring out flavor but also keep them fresh and from degrading a bit while we're assembling the rest of the meal. It's going to be done. The rest is done in two parts. It's going to be measuring them out in two different bowls. First one is going to be a bit of brown sugar and cornstarch as a mix, and then second is going to be oats, flour, a bit of salt, and again a bit more brown sugar as a mix, and then each of those are individually worked into the blueberries. The butter, third of a cup, that then gets worked in, and then we bake it for 40 minutes at 350. So that's all there is to this dish. It's quite simple and really tasty, if you can tell by how much I'm enjoying the blueberries already. So with that in hand, see you at the next dish, which should be these Brussels sprouts that are on tap for tomorrow. And see you then. Okay, before we get started on even preparing these, going to put the meat in to braise. Since it's braising, same thing we've done in the past. You just sear up both sides of the meat, then put that back into put it all in the braiser for the cooking. Put the marinade back in, cover it with water or stock until it's covering the meat, and then once it's at simmering, you put that in oven or however else you're preparing to do it. So that's braising in a nutshell. We've done it a million times, so I'm just going to take care of that real quick. Okay, meat's in the oven, cooking to doneness. Just got to keep an eye on that. Next up is preparing the sprouts. Haven't really worked with these before myself, but general rule of thumb is get rid of like stems, pick off any of the discolored leaves, which are usually done by like picking them too soon, picking them too late, frost damage from freezing, all that fun stuff, and just cleaning them up and making them look nice. Also going to be boiling them for the next step, so that's a good idea to like score them so that you can get more of the water in the vegetable. Usually you want, when boiling or steaming, you go to well, if you can't really tell on this, but these are really hard and can't bend them that much. You want to go to a state where they're softer but still have a bit of crispness to them. That's generally a good serving conditions for vegetables, and they all take different times, so it's really watching your vegetables until they're ready. So going to be doing that. Once I have these prepared, I'll go over how to do the bacon and Parmesan part that we're going to coat the Brussels sprouts in. So see you then. Sprouts are done, and they look really good already. The remaining 5 ingredients, got to measure out some sour cream, some Parmesan, cut off a bit of the butter. Just going to saute those all together until they become a bit of a sauce. And then it's putting them back over the sprouts, tossing them all together. Bacon too, but that's already prepared. Then once that's all mixed together as much as you can, you add more Parmesan on top of the dish. So yeah, very good it's sounding already. And should see you when everything's done, since everything's pretty much on track. And so jump cut away. Here's our final meal, the meat, or some of it actually. You can see it actually falling off the bone, so turned out really good braised. Our Parmesan Brussels sprouts, which I had a couple of already, they're really, really good. The blueberry dish, I had a couple spoonfuls of it already as well, and it's super good as well. My only change to the recipe is adding more oats to it to give it a bit more backbone, but you know, you're getting a recipe out of Betty Crocker, so that's not necessarily the final definitive source. But yeah, everything turned out very good, and we're going to have a lot of fun enjoying it.